This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and for the first time in nearly 2 years I am delighted to be joined by Showtime Shawn Porter out here in sunny Las Vegas. Shawn, how are you doing? It's been a while.
Can't believe it's been 2 years. Yeah, we haven't gone that long without seeing each other and doing what we do on the camera or whatnot, but everything's good, man. Everything's flowing.
I was going to say, obviously, you said we don't usually go this long. I think last time we saw each other was Wilder Ortiz fight week.
Oh, wow.
So that's some time ago.
It's been some time. Wow. And that was a great one to be at. And now I'm trying to get back going and hopefully get in the ring in a few months and give somebody something to enjoy.
Shawn, I know this has been frustrating for you as it has been for a lot of fighters throughout the COVID pandemic. You've been able to get out once during that time. But for yourself, how would you assess this past year or so?
I feel like I'm bragging when I say I've been thriving through this pandemic, but I was able to start my podcast, the Welterweight podcast, able to sign a deal with NBC, was already working with Fox, and they kept me, both of those networks kept me busy, outside of the ring, of course, and now just kind of training, getting ready to get back in the ring. I think I just kind of went through a little spell like between March and maybe June when I didn't really know what was going on and what was going to happen. And then we found out that August was as soon as I can get in the ring last year. And so I did that. So, I mean, after that, just kind of kept going with the podcast and everything like that. So, I mean, I really have been thriving and making good connections and things like that. And, I'm not now it's just time to get back in the ring.
So it's one thing you mentioned there, the podcast work that you've just started set up. You've got your punditry work as well. Certainly over in the UK, people have enjoyed listening to yourself from that perspective. Is that the way you can see your career going once you retire from the sport?
Yeah, this probably still going to surprise people for some time, but I actually had a goal to be a broadcaster before I had a goal to be a world champion. This is just something I've always been interested in and something I've always been drawn to. So when I got the opportunity in 2018 to do the PBC, Inside PBC show, that really was just kind of it's like, all right, now my foot's in the door, you know what I mean? And so now I think I've gotten to the point where I've been able to walk through some doors myself and do very well. And I'm glad that people are receptive to how I do it and what I do, and they enjoy it. I just get to be myself, and I enjoy that.
Let's just reflect on your victory against Sebastian Formella before we do move forwards. Going back to that one win, that one fight during the pandemic, looking back, Shawn, what do you take away from it?
I think more than anything, we were able to kind of show people a little bit more of what I have to bring to the ring in terms of versatility and also in terms of athleticism. I think that was one of my more athletic performances. I think that if anything, it was that quote-unquote stay busy fight. We didn't carry Sebastian. I mean, I think that looking back on the fight, there were maybe some moments where I could have, released a little more and really kept my foot on the gas pedal. Maybe something different might have happened, but for the most part, we kind of were just working in accordance with the game plan that we had set prior to the fight. And that game plan that when we showed up to the ring was the game plan that once the fight started, it was what was working, so we stuck with it. But I just think that Sebastian is a solid fighter. I think just taking one loss since our fight, but I think that he was definitely the right opponent at the right time.
Shawn, you're a two-time world champion. You're a world-level athlete at welterweight. Looking at kind of how this year has gone for everybody, have you struggled at all for that same level of hunger or motivation, or do you still have that same desire to try to become a three-time champion?
The funny thing is, I do my podcast, so I'm watching boxing more now than ever. When it was just Fox and it was just NBC, I was just doing the work that I had to do to be prepared for those shows. But because of the podcast, I'm watching as much as I can of boxing, and the thing that it does is it ignites me every time I see it on. I get those same feelings of where do you get a load of me, you know what I mean? Which is kind of what I said once I knew that I was going to start broadcasting and doing commentary. You know, you think that these other guys are pretty good. Where do you get a load of me? And that's kind of the mindset that I've always had as a fighter, you know, even as an amateur, to be tournaments. And, you know, I was about 12 and everybody was doing well before me, but where do you get a load of me, you know? And same thing when I turned pro. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. I feel like the boxing game is getting back going. Some big fights are starting to be made, and now I'm kind of getting that feeling of where do you get a load of me?
So Shawn, when do we get a load of you, and what do you see yourself challenging for?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say we, because my team for some time has said, hey, move forward, but I kind of was really keeping my eyes and my heart set on a possible fight with Terence Crawford. And then recently my dad's like, hey, you got to let that go. You got to get back in the ring. You got to stay busy. Other people within the team saying, you know, right now you're preventing one fighter from allowing you to make money and support your family. So you can't do that anymore. So now we're moving forward. We're looking at July, hopefully early July. And opponent, we don't really know right now. So it doesn't look like anything is going to shake out with Terence Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. So we'll see what happens.
Just on the Crawford front, I remember a few months ago there was a lot of noise being made about a potential bout between you two. Was there any point when you thought it was close or that it was going to be made?
In retrospect, I really do feel like I went about it the wrong way. I think I started to kind of listen to the noise and kind of perpetuated the noise instead of, you know, going to Terence and, you know, confront him once again about a possible fight. That, you know, in retrospect was the way to do it, but, you know, I think in the moment and even now, I thought that, you know, voicing that I wanted to fight him was going to do what needed to be done, but that wasn't it. So we don't know. I think that he's working on something big, and I think that, you know, it's really smart of him to not let go until that's gone, you know. We talked about it on the Porterweight podcast where Caleb Plant might very well be next in line for Canelo Alvarez. But the thing is, Caleb is coming off of an injured hand. You know, the thing is, Caleb has not been in the ring with, you know, the high level opposition, especially if you compare that to Canelo. So it's, what do you do here? Do you let this possible opportunity go by in hopes that you'll be more prepared down the line when the hand is 100%, when you've gotten in the ring with somebody that everybody else considers to be 100, you know, a high-level challenge, and then take on Canelo? But you risk the chance of not possibly getting that fight in the future. You risk the chance of re-injuring the hand, you know, and the list goes on, you know. So I think just saying that to say the same for Terence Crawford. If anyone's saying, we didn't expect that. If anyone is saying that Terence Crawford's ducking Shawn Porter or possibly ducking Errol Spence Jr., you got to also take a look at what he's trying to do for himself. And I got a feeling that he's trying to line himself up for something big, and he doesn't want that opportunity to slip by. So, you know, that's just me verbalizing that I understand where the lack of communication from him in terms of making a fight with me may come in. He may be working on something that he feels is bigger, and I have to respect him for that.
Just as you touched on Canelo Alvarez,
that was a short train.
Just as you touched on Canelo Alvarez there, Shawn, I just want to quickly get your thoughts on his victory of his past weekend against Billy Joe Saunders. What did you make of it?
I thought that I think I had it 6-2. If it was gone that far, I think I had it 6-2 at that point. I did think that Billy Joe was doing some good things in the ring, but I did not think that overall. I didn't think he controlled very much of the ring or the tempo, the pace of the fight. There were 2 rounds where he, you know, was really able to keep off Canelo with his jab. Maybe 3 or 4 by others' opinion. I think so. Go all the way back. I think there were maybe 3, if not 4 rounds where he was really able to keep Canelo off of him with the jab. But beyond the jab, there wasn't much power punching. He still was not controlling the ring. Canelo was still moving the way he wanted to and doing the things that he wanted to. Whether or not Canelo landed as many punches in those rounds as he did, he landed the more decisive, definitive, harder shots. And that's how I judge boxing. I judge boxing by who's controlling the ring. Doesn't mean you have to be aggressive and going at somebody. It just means, to me, if you look comfortable in the pace, in the movements in the ring are dictated by you, then you're controlling the ring. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter that the jab was keeping you here. You're still working your way to getting to where you want. And I felt like Canelo was doing that. So all the way up until that punch. When that punch landed, I knew it immediately. I started going off at home. It was the perfect punch at the perfect time. And you could see that they game planned for that. They knew that eventually that uppercut was going to land. And it did. And I didn't expect Billy Joe to come out after that round. And in fact, I was surprised once Canelo got off of his stool, because I felt like the round was about to begin. And then once he puts his hands up, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. I did not expect Billy Joe to come out. And then we see now that he had like a triple fracture in his skull right there, in the orbital fracture, which is, that's crazy. So anybody out there saying, oh, he quit, oh, he could have kept going, he's out there for a paycheck, all that kind of stuff, take a look at what happened afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's a part of the game, man. We never know when it's going to happen. And when it does, you know, that's why we have a team. That's why there's doctors and referees and all that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, we do have to be safe. And what we got was maybe 8 or 9 really good rounds of boxing.
Just a few more from me, Shawn. Just going back to yourself. One name in the UK which was mentioned with you, I don't think it was a name which you kind of had in your own mind, but Conor Benn. What were your thoughts when you started to hear Conor Benn linked with yourself?
I was surprised. I saw that I knew he fought Sebastian Formella after me. And I think he might have been saying some things after that fight pertaining to me, but I'm the first big name that Sebastian Formella had. And that's what we do. What we do is we compare. You know, we saw Errol Spence Jr. fight a number of guys that I fought, that Keith Thurman fought, that a few other guys have fought, and the thing was always who did better, and the list goes on from there. And so I wasn't surprised when I heard some things after Formella's fight, but then when after he had his last fight, and also hearing through the grapevine that his dad Nigel says that he wants his son to fight me next. Your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Your eyes are bigger than your stomach.
Would you entertain that fight if the offer was right?
My dad and I talked about it. We talked about if things were made sense, then maybe that's something we could do. But the initial thought is, hey, I've been working at world championship level since 2013, and anybody who knows the sport of boxing, it's not, if you're not Teofimo Lopez, overnight sensation, and really making noise along the way, you just don't jump in the ring and get it done. And again, we're talking about sensation. How many guys can do what Teofimo Lopez did? How many guys can do that to Lomachenko? You know what I mean? So your eyes are bigger than your stomach.
Errol Spence Jr., somebody who you've previously fought, spoken about with the Ugas fight, the unification bout. If that one was to get over the line, what do you make of it?
I tend to sway towards Errol Spence's side. And especially after being in the ring with him, I think you get a really good taste of what he has to bring to the ring. And I knew that going in, which is why I prepared the way that I did. But I think once I'm able to see what I was able to do in the ring with him and how close that fight was, and then take a look at past fights he's had and simply be able to say, man, this dude is dominant. It's very hard to beat. You don't get it in just one round. I think that he's on top of his game right now. I think that he's come back very strong from his accident, and I think that it's not too many guys I would bet on against Errol Spence Jr.
I just want to quickly get your thoughts on the 135 division. We know Teofimo Lopez will be knocking about today. It's a stacked division. What do you make of it?
Great division in boxing. I think that kind of crept up on us, that division. I think between maybe even we can go with 126. I think that 126 got a lot of great competitors in that weight class, but especially 130 and 135. You see young guys there, you see young, hungry guys there, but along with that hunger and that youth is some like really good talent. You know what I mean? So I think that the 130 and 135 pound division has really crept up on us. I think that those guys are probably going to try to take over those divisions and then move up. By that time, I'll be gone. T.O. just got here.
Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
Your thoughts next weekend? A brilliant, undisputed bout. And also, would you be interested in facing the winner if they was to move up to 147?
I do have heard that both of those guys are debating moving up after this fight. I really want to see what's going to happen. This is a pick'em fight. I think that both guys are really good, and I think that this is what boxing needs right now. We need two guys like this getting in the ring where right now all eyes are on the sport. All eyes are wanting to see who's next, and those guys are definitely going to give us a great show. Will I fight either of those guys? I think kind of leaning towards the same responses as Conor Benn. If the situation's right, then maybe we'll entertain it. But at the same time, I do have to give respect to myself and where I'm at, and not take on too many of those challenges that are not at that world championship level that I've been at for a long time.
And the final one, Shawn, a big fight which has been talked about up at heavyweight, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Well, hopefully it's over the line and announced soon. If it is, what do you make of it, the undisputed bout between the pair there?
I'm looking forward to that, man. If and when that happens, I know I'm hearing this back and forth, but I think that Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight fighter that we have in the world. I think that it takes a lot to beat him, not just one punch, and not just one round. I do see him beating Anthony Joshua, but I like to see what Anthony Joshua does in preparation for Tyson Fury. We've seen Tyson Fury be able to switch up his game and do some different things, and I think that doing that took him to another level. So I think now he's especially difficult to beat.
All right, Shawn, we'll leave it there, but I want to leave a final word to yourself for all of your fans around the world and for ones back in the UK. Take it away.
Man, I really feel like I started a catchphrase with your eyes are bigger than your stomach. So if I'm able to get out there and see you guys and fight in front of you guys, I would love to do that. That really is kind of a bucket list thing for me to do before I'm out of this game. So we'll see what happens. But outside of that, man, I just appreciate the love and support from England and from the UK. It's been amazing. This journey of mine has been amazing, and to pick up like all of these different fans and followers from around the world along the way is I think it's something that I wanted, but I didn't really understand. I didn't understand the capacity of how it would come and things like that. So thank you guys. God bless you guys. Be safe out there. Stay healthy, and cover up. And see you soon.
Shawn, I appreciate your time. I'll speak to you again soon, hopefully. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
You got it, my man. Thank you.
Cheers, Shawn.